isn't happening rarely. It's not happening worlds away. It's happening right here and right now.
What happens when Hollywood decides you're no longer worth protecting? Just ask Blake Lively, whose new movie trailer on Amazon Prime just became the first major release this year to have its comments completely disabled. But why would a streaming giant take such drastic measures for someone who was once considered box office gold? The answer lies in 168 pages of private communications that have become the talk of studio executives across Los Angeles. These documents don't just reveal personality clashes, they expose behavior so problematic that even Blake's closest industry allies are strategically distancing themselves before the fallout completely destroys their own reputations. Amazon Prime just made a move that's sending shockwaves through Hollywood. When they disabled all comments on Blake Lively's new movie trailer for It Ends With Us, they weren't just protecting a star, they were admitting defeat. Major streaming platforms simply don't take this kind of drastic action unless they're facing an absolute disaster. But that's exactly what's happening behind closed doors at Amazon's headquarters. We've never seen panic like this before, reveals an Amazon studio executive who requested anonymity. The initial test run with comments enabled was catastrophic. Within hours, we had thousands of negative comments flooding in, not just about Blake's personal drama, but questioning why we'd even release her film at all. What makes the situation unprecedented is the scale of Amazon's financial exposure. The company invested over $30 million in acquiring the rights to It Ends With Us, with another $15 million earmarked for marketing. That's a $45 million gamble on a star whose reputation is imploding in real time. Internal documents show that Amazon executives held 3 emergency meetings in a single week once they realized the severity of the backlash. There was a heated debate between the content team and the platform analytics group, our source continues. The content people wanted to protect their investment in the film at all costs. But the analytics team presented data showing that negative sentiment was spreading like wildfire across our entire platform, not just on Blake's trailer. The numbers don't lie. When compared to other controversial celebrity releases, the difference is stark. Even when Johnny Depp faced serious allegations during his legal battle with Amber Heard, Disney never disabled comments on trailers featuring him. Netflix kept comments open during the Dave Chappelle controversy despite significant backlash. Amazon's decision represents a new level of corporate panic. What truly forced Amazon's hand was the alarming data from their predictive analytics team. Internal reports suggested that the negative sentiment surrounding Blake was beginning to affect viewing recommendations across their entire streaming ecosystem. Viewers who received recommendations for any content featuring Blake were spending 47% less time on the platform during that session. For a company that lives and dies by engagement metrics, this represented an existential threat. The marketing department presented 3 options, explains our industry insider. Leave comments open and weather the storm, disable comments temporarily, or take the nuclear option and completely restructure the release strategy. When they ran the numbers, it became clear that option 2 was the only viable path forward. But the most troubling revelation for Amazon executives wasn't just the current backlash, it was what their internal research suggested was still to come. After obtaining copies of the infamous 168 pages of text messages and emails between Blake and her former collaborators, Amazon's crisis team realized they were sitting on a ticking time bomb. Those 168 pages aren't just some boring legal documents. They're the Hollywood equivalent of a nuclear launch code. Industry insiders who've seen these texts describe them as career-ending material that exposes the massive gap between Blake's sweet public persona and her private behavior. What could possibly be so toxic that Amazon executives are treating these documents like radioactive waste? It all started with what seemed like a standard creative dispute between Blake and her It Ends With Us co-star and director, Justin Baldoni. What Blake didn't anticipate was losing control of the narrative when Baldoni's legal team successfully filed those 168 pages of private communications as evidence in their contract dispute. A source close to the production reveals, Blake never imagined these would become public. She thought her star power would keep everything sealed. The texts paint a disturbing picture of systematic manipulation. In one exchange with a production assistant, Blake allegedly wrote, "Just make sure she, female co-star, doesn't know about the schedule change until after lunch. I need her looking exhausted in that scene." Another message to a stylist reads, "Can we make sure her outfit looks just a little worse than mine? Nothing obvious, just enough that people notice." Perhaps most shocking is how Blake referred to the very fans who built her career. In one message to her publicist after a fan event in Chicago, she reportedly wrote, "If I have to take one more selfie with these people, I'm going to scream. Do they not understand I have actual important things to do?" This stands in stark contrast to her Instagram posts from the same event praising her amazing, thoughtful fans. The documents have become required reading in Hollywood's executive suites. These pages are being passed around like a secret menu at an exclusive restaurant, says one studio executive who requested anonymity. People are reading them during lunch breaks. I've never seen anything like it. What's particularly damaging is how the texts expose Blake's treatment of other women in the industry while publicly championing female empowerment. In one exchange about a younger actress joining a project, Blake allegedly wrote, "She's not ready for this level of exposure. We should protect her by reducing her scenes." But a follow-up message revealed her true intentions. "Plus, it gives me more screen time anyway." Industry reactions have been brutal. One veteran producer who reviewed the documents commented, "I physically recoiled at some passages. There's calculated undermining that goes beyond normal Hollywood competition." Another source added, "There's a message about strategically leaking unflattering information about a co-star that made me nauseous." Those industry insiders aren't the only ones feeling nauseous right now. Betty Buzz, Blake Lively's once thriving sparkling beverage empire, is experiencing what retail analysts are calling the celebrity founder death spiral. The brand that built its entire identity around Blake's wholesome, relatable mom entrepreneur image is watching sales plummet faster than a Hollywood star's approval ratings after a scandal. Betty Buzz's meteoric rise wasn't just about the product. It was about buying a piece of Blake's carefully curated lifestyle. Her image as the ultimate girl next door with impeccable taste was the secret ingredient that made those pretty pink bottles fly off shelves. Now that consumers feel they've been sold a false persona, they're voting with their wallets. According to exclusive data obtained from Nielsen IQ retail tracking, Betty Buzz has seen a staggering 68% drop in sales volume across major retailers in the past 3 weeks alone. One beverage industry analyst commented, "I've never seen a celebrity product line tank this dramatically without a recall or safety issue. This is purely reputation-driven collapse." Even more telling is what's happening behind the scenes. 3 major national retailers have quietly moved Betty Buzz from prime eye-level shelf positions to bottom shelves. Retail's equivalent of purgatory. One regional buyer for a major grocery chain revealed, "We've reduced our next order by 75%, but we're doing it without any public announcement. Nobody wants to get caught in the crossfire." The social media metrics are equally brutal. Engagement on Betty Buzz's official Instagram has crashed 84% since the controversy began. More damaging still, the negative sentiment ratio has flipped from 9, 1 positive to 7, 1 negative in less than a month. A reversal that social media strategists describe as virtually unprecedented for a consumable product. Internal communications leaked from Betty Buzz headquarters paint a picture of absolute panic. "We need immediate distance from the founder narrative," wrote one executive in an emergency strategy email. "Pivot all marketing to ingredient quality and taste profile. Remove founder imagery from 70% of packaging and 100% of point-of-sale materials by end of quarter." The brand is now facing what insiders call the Kardashian choice. Either double down on the controversial founder or attempt a complete identity separation. When Kylie Jenner faced backlash, her cosmetics line temporarily reduced her visibility, but maintained the connection. When Ellen DeGeneres' reputation collapsed, her ED brand at Walmart was quietly discontinued entirely. Most concerning for Betty Buzz executives are the whispers from Target and Walmart buyers, who are reportedly reviewing shelf space allocations for the upcoming quarter. Losing either of those accounts would be catastrophic, noted one beverage industry consultant familiar with the situation. They represent over 40% of Betty Buzz's retail footprint. With Betty Buzz products being shoved to the bottom shelf at retailers across America, Blake Lively has just made the kind of move that signals true desperation behind her composed public facade. While celebrities typically hire seasoned publicists during crises, Blake has recruited someone whose resume reads more like a character from a political thriller than a Hollywood PR agent. According to sources close to her team, Blake has brought on Katherine Jenkins, a former CIA deputy chief of staff with specialized experience in information warfare and narrative control. This goes way beyond standard damage control, reveals a veteran entertainment attorney who's witnessed numerous celebrity implosions. When you hire someone who once managed covert intelligence operations for the federal government, you're essentially declaring war on your enemies, real or perceived. The price tag for this specialized crisis management team doesn't come cheap. Industry insiders report Blake is paying upwards of $175,000 monthly for Jenkins and her team of ex-intelligence operatives, a staggering sum that speaks volumes about her state of mind and the perceived threat level to her career. Jenkins' approach differs dramatically from conventional PR strategies. Rather than simply responding to negative press, her team actively identifies and monitors industry sources who've spoken against Blake. They've reportedly created a database of suspected leakers, complete with the detailed profiles and network analysis, showing connections between various Hollywood players. They're running counterintelligence operations straight out of the CIA playbook, explains a former entertainment reporter who's dealt with similar teams. Every leaked story is treated like intelligence to be analyzed. They track speech patterns and blind quotes to identify sources and map relationships between journalists and their contacts. Most concerning for those speaking out against Blake is the team's reputation for aggressive source neutralization. Jenkins' operatives reportedly approach suspected leakers with veiled threats about exposing their own secrets or damaging their industry connections tactics that create what intelligence professionals call chilling effects on potential whistleblowers. The team's information warfare strategy extends to planting alternative narratives in friendly media outlets. It's not just about denying allegations, says a digital media consultant familiar with their methods. They're creating competing storylines, leveraging existing industry rivalries, and subtly shifting attention to weaker targets. It's asymmetric warfare applied to celebrity PR. Blake isn't the first Hollywood figure to employ ex-intelligence personnel. In recent years, an entire cottage industry of former CIA, FBI, and military intelligence officers has emerged, catering exclusively to ultra-wealthy clients in career crisis. What makes Blake's situation notable is how quickly she escalated to this nuclear option, bypassing traditional crisis management firms entirely. The age-old saying in Hollywood that "your reputation is everything" has never felt more relevant than in Blake Lively's current situation. The industry that once embraced her as America's sweetheart has now become a minefield, where her name triggers emergency protocols at major studios. This isn't just a bad news cycle. It's a fundamental recalibration of how the entire industry views her value and viability. What makes Blake's downfall particularly striking is the speed at which it happened. One insider revealed, "This industry runs on trust." When executives see someone manipulating their collaborators while presenting a different face to the public, they start asking what else isn't real. The documents that exposed her behind-the-scenes behavior have become a point of no return in executive suites across Hollywood. The future for Lively now hangs in a precarious balance. As one veteran casting director put it, Hollywood forgives many things, but calculated deception isn't one of them. When your actual personality becomes a liability to productions, your name moves from the must-have list to the proceed with caution list overnight. In an industry built on illusion, Blake Lively has shattered the one illusion that mattered most: her own authenticity.